Anong sinasabi ng mga tao sa mukha mo?
Bakit siya yung napiling host? And dami niyang pimples. The confidence that I've built over the many years, it all goes away.
Madumi yung mukha mo.
Nakulam ka ba? Naagnas ka na? Alam mo, Kata, mas maganda ka sana kung kasing kinis nung legs mo, yung mukha mo. Siyempre, tatawa-tawa ko, uy. Pero sa loob-loob ko parang sobra na.
How do you feel about it?
It hurts.
My skills were overlooked.
Hindi nila tinitingnan yung panloob mo, yung personality mo man lang.
Na behind this face, kaya ko maging great mom.
Dadating din yung time na
Matatapos din to. Ngayon lang to.
Okay, so as you can see on this screen, this is me when I was around 10 years old, I think. And look at me now. I'm a teacher who inculcating goods for my students. So well, we would vividly seen the rapid changes starting our childhood and at the present. And the changes are so rapid. Look at you now from simple kid to beautiful and handsome individual. So one obvious changes is your physical self. So let's go deeper in the physical self. What is physical self and what is physical characteristics? Physical self is the concrete dimension, the tangible aspect of the person that can be directly observed and examined. Pag sinabing concrete and tangible, ito ay nahahawakan at nakikita. Just for example, dumaan si crush mo sa harap mo. Ang first na nakita mo is kanyang physical appearance. Consider his height, complexion of his skin, body figure, color of his eyes, and his hair. And also physical characteristics are defining traits or features of the person's body. All these characteristics encompass the people that one can describe about a person by just looking. Okay, so this physical appearance has a great impact according to Erwin Goffman. According to him, people are concerned with the way others perceive them, meaning people are more focused on what people perceiving them or on how people see them. So some people are considering the physical appearance as their major concern. Why do you think physical appearance is so important in today's society? Okay, so it boosts self-confidence and self-esteem. One feels very reassured with other people, admire them, and prefer to associate with them as they find them very attractive. For example, attractive individuals are expected to be happier and to have more rewarding life experiences than unattractive individuals. Okay? So there is two effect sa pagiging concerned sa physical appearance. First is the motivation, second is the frustration. Okay? For instance, you are chubby and you are motivated to have an exercise every morning and have a safe process of diet method so that you will become healthy. But if you did not meet your expectation, it could lead to frustration. Can also lead to depression, anxiety, and most especially into a psychological disorder. Okay, so let's now proceed to the self as impacted by the self. So, William James, he is a renowned psychologist and pioneer of American sociology. He is also one of the proponents of functionalism. Okay? It is one of the theory of the sociology. And according to him, that the body is the initial source of sensation and necessary for the origin and maintenance of personality. It is an element of spiritual hygiene of supreme significance. Okay? So, sensation is our mental process. Our senses such as seeing, hearing, touching, and smelling and tasting. Okay? According to William James, that our body is inferior to our mind. Meaning, ang utak natin ay mas higit sa katawan na sumusunod lamang sa sinasabi ng utak natin. Halimbawa, soldiers and boxers are suffered from severe wound. Hindi nila mapapansin dahil ang iniisip nila ay kinakailangan nilang manalo sa kanilang battle. And at the end of the battle, saka lang nila mararamdaman ang kanilang mga sugat. Okay? Malaki ang ginagampanan ng katawan sa ating personality also. When we say personality, it is a distinctive traits or quality of being a person. Okay? He added that it is an element of spiritual hygiene of supreme significance. If our body is healthy, our characteristics will be healthy as well. So kung paano natin ma-attain ang good body is a proper exercise, proper diet, and eating healthy foods. Erik Erikson. So experience is anchored in the ground plan of body. So when we say ground plan of a body, it is the blueprint of the human development of, or what we call the maturation. Okay, so he added to the 8 stages. Okay, we have the infancy, early childhood, preschool, school age, adolescence, young adulthood, middle adulthood, and maturity. So the role of the bodily organs is really important, especially in early human development. It's really important sa mga bata pa lamang na ma-build na yung healthy development during her early stage. To elaborate more about the human psychosocial development, this theory consists of 8 stages of development. We have the trust versus mistrust, autonomy versus shame and doubt, initiative versus guilt, industry versus inferiority, identity versus role confusion, intimacy versus isolation, generativity versus stagnation, integrity versus despair. Okay? So, as you can see this picture, andito, kompleto na yan. And isa-isahin natin. Let's go first in the first stage. Okay? The trust versus mistrust. Okay? This is the first stage of Erik Erikson's theory of psychosocial development, occurs between birth and 1 year of age, and it is the most fundamental stage in life because an infant is utterly dependent, and developing trust is based on dependability and quality of the child's caregivers. If the care the infant receives is consistent, predictable, and reliable, they will develop a sense of trust, which will carry with them to other relationships, and they will be able to feel secure even when threatened. If the care has been inconsistent, unpredictable, and unreliable, the infant may develop a sense of mistrust, suspicion, or anxiety. In this situation, the infant will not have confidence in the world around them or in their abilities to influence events. Okay? Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of hope. Okay? By developing a sense of trust, the infant can have hope that as new crisis arises, there is a real possibility that other people will be there as source of support. But failing to acquire the virtue of hope will lead to fear. Let's proceed to autonomy versus shame and doubt. Okay, so it is the second stage of Erik Erikson's stages of psychosocial development. This stage occurs between the ages of 18 months to approximately 3 years of age. Okay, according to Erikson, children at this stage are focused on developing a sense of personal control over physical skills and a sense of independence. At this point in development, children are just starting to gain a little bit independence. They are starting to perform basic actions on their own and making simple decisions about what they prefer. Okay? By allowing kids to make choices and gain control, parents and caregivers can help children develop a sense of autonomy. The essential theme of this stage is that children need to develop a sense of personal control over physical skills and a sense of independence. So kung maalala nyo, yung toilet training it plays an important role in helping children develop this sense of autonomy. Like Freud, Erickson's believed that toilet training was a vital part of this process. Erickson believed that learning to control one's ability functions leads to a feeling of control and a sense of independence. Other important events include gaining more control over food choices, toy preference, and clothing selection. But if children in this stage are encouraged and supported in their increased independence, they become more confident, more secure in their own ability to survive in the world. But if the children are criticized, over-controlled, or not given the opportunity to assert themselves, they will begin inadequate in their ability to survive. They may then become overly dependent about or upon others, or lack of self-esteem, and feel a sense of shame or a doubt in their abilities. Okay, so Erickson believed that achieving a balance between autonomy and shame and doubt would lead to will, which is the belief that children can act with intention within reason and limits. So success in this stage will lead into will. Initiative versus guilt. Initiative versus guilt is a third stage of Erickson's theory of psychosocial development. During the initiative versus guilt stage, children assert themselves more frequently through directing play and other social interaction. These particularly lively, rapid developing years in the child's life. According to B, it is the time of vigor of action and of behaviors that the parents may see as aggressive. During this period, the primary features involves the child regularly interacting with other children and at school. Central to this stage is play, as it provides children with the opportunity to explore with their interpersonal skills through initiating activities. Children begin to plan activities, make up games, and initiate activities with others. If given this opportunity, children develop a sense of initiative and feel secure in their ability to lead others and also make decisions. Okay? So it is at this stage that the child will begin to ask many questions as his thirst for knowledge. Okay? So if the parents treat the child's questions as trivial, a nuisance, or embarrassing, or other aspect of their behavior as the threatening, then the child have feeling of guilt for being a nuisance. Okay, so too much guilt can make the child slow to interact with others, and it may inhibit their creativity. Some guilt is of course necessary, and otherwise the child would not know how to exercise self-control or have a conscience. Okay? So children who are successful at this stage feel capable and able to lead others. Those who fail to acquire these skills are left with a sense of guilt, self-doubt, and lack of initiative. Okay? So a healthy balance between initiative and a guilt is important. Okay? So success in this stage will lead to the virtue of purpose, while failure results in a sense of guilt. Okay? So now let's proceed to industry versus inferiority. It is the fourth psychosocial stage. Okay? It takes place during the early school years from the approximately ages 5 to 11. Okay? Through social interactions, children begin to develop a sense of pride in their accomplishments and abilities. Children are the stage where they will be learning to read and write, to do sums, to do things on their own. Teachers begin to take an importance in the child's life as they teach the child specific skills. Okay? Okay, children who are encouraged and commended by parents and teachers, they may develop a feeling of competence and believe in their skills, and they will feel confident in their ability to achieve their goals. But those children who receive little or no encouragement from parents, teachers, or peers will lead into doubting their abilities to be successful. The child begins to feel inferior, doubting his own abilities, and therefore may not reach his or her potential. Okay, so if the child cannot develop the specific skills, they feel society is demanding. Okay? For instance, being an athletic, then they may develop a sense of inferiority. Children need to cope up with the new social and academic demands. Success in this stage will lead to competence, while failing in this stage will lead to inferiority. Okay? So now let's proceed to identity versus role confusion. It is the fifth psychosocial stage that takes place during the often turbulent teenage years. This stage plays an essential role in developing a sense of personal identity, which will continue to influence behavior and development for the rest of a person's life. Teens need to develop a sense of self and personal identity. So during adolescence, the transition from the childhood to adulthood is most important. Children are becoming more independent and begin to look at the future in terms of career, relationships, family, and housing. The individual wants to belong to a society and fit in. This is a major stage of development where the child has to learn the roles he will occupy as an adult. It is during this stage that the adolescent will re-examine his identity and try to find out exactly who or kung sino nga ba siya sa kanyang ginagalawan. So Erickson suggests that there are two identities that are involved, which is the sexual and the occupational. And also during this stage, the body image of the adolescents changes. Those who receive a proper encouragement and reinforcement through personal exploration will emerge from this stage with a strong sense of self and feelings of independence and control. And those who remain unsure of their beliefs and desires will lead into they will feel insecure and confused about themselves and in the future. Success in this stage will lead into the virtue of fidelity. So fidelity involves being able to commit oneself to others on the basis of accepting others, even when there may be ideological differences. Failure to establish a sense of identity within the society, for instance, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, can lead into role confusion. And role confusion involves the individual not being sure about themselves or their place in society. Intimacy versus isolation. Sixth stage of Erik Erikson's theory of psychosocial development. This stage takes place during young adulthood between the ages of approximately 18 to 40 years old. During this stage, the major conflict centers on forming intimate, loving relationships with other people. Young adults need to form intimate, loving relationships with other people. Success leads to a strong relationships, while failure results in loneliness and isolation. This stage covers the period of early adulthood when people are exploring personal relationships. So, successful completion on this stage can result in happy relationship and a sense of commitment, safety, and care within a relationship. And avoiding intimacy, fearing commitment and relationship will lead to isolation, loneliness, and sometimes depression. Okay, so success in this stage will lead to virtue of love. Okay, so next, let's proceed to generativity versus stagnation. Generativity versus stagnation is the 7th of 8 stages of Erik Erikson's theory of psychosocial development. This stage takes place during the middle adulthood, ages 40 to 65 years old. Okay, so adults needs to create or nurture things that will outlast them, often by having children or creating a positive change that benefits other people. Okay, during adulthood, we continue to build our lives, focusing on our career and family. Those who are successful during this phase will feel that they are contributing to the world by being active in their home and community. Those who fail to attain this skill will feel unproductive and uninvolved in the world. Okay? Successful completion of this stage will lead to feelings of usefulness and accomplishment, while failing completion on this stage will lead to results in shallow involvement in the world. Success in this stage will lead into care. Care is a virtue achieved that when this stage is handled successfully. Okay, being proud of your accomplishments, watching your children grow into adults, developing a sense of unity with your life partner are important accomplishments of this stage. Next, we have the integrity versus despair. Okay, it is the final of the psychosocial stage development. Okay, this stage begins at approximately age 65 years old and ends off the death. At this point in development, people look back on the events of their lives and determine if they are happy with the life that they live or if they regret the things they did or didn't do. Okay? So it is during this time that we contemplate or reflect on our accomplishments and can develop integrity if we see ourselves as leading a successful life. Individuals who reflect on their life and regret not achieving their goals will experience feelings of bitterness and despair. As we grow older and become senior citizens, okay, we tend to slow down our productivity and explore life as retired person. Okay? So Erikson believes that if we see our lives as unproductive, we feel guilt about our past or feel that we did not accomplish our life goals. We become dissatisfied with life and development despair, often leading to depression and hopelessness. Okay, so success in this stage leads to feelings of wisdom, while failure in this stage results in regret, bitterness, and despair. Okay, Simon Freud, according to him, that this states that the body physical is the core of human experience, sabi niya. So when we say human experience, is the human existence. It is the essence of being a person. It includes our mental, emotional, and spiritual. And according to him, the most important or primary is our physical body or physical characteristics as human. He added that our psychological process is part to our physical process and vice versa. Ang ibig sabihin niya ay, if you want to improve your confidence, you need to do some action so that you will boost your self-esteem as individual. Another thing is kapag may pimples ka, anong gagawin mo? Syempre, you need to do a skincare para mawala. So remember na magkaakibat ang physical process at psychological process. Maurice Ponty, okay, according to him, placed the body as the center of the human existence as a way of experiencing the world. Our physical body plays a vital tool in experiencing anything and to be with someone in the future. It really plays a vital role. Try to look on this picture. This is Manny Pacquiao, ang ating pambansang kamao ng Pilipinas na kinilala sa buong mundo. Hindi siya magiging malakas kung hindi siya sumunod sa kanyang proper exercise, proper na pagda-diet, and also eating healthy foods. Okay, and this is Rabia Mateo, our Miss Universe 2020. Hindi siya mananalo kung hindi siya nakasagot ng maayos at tamang pagda-diet to attain that body figure of her. So in achieving this, may kailangan tayong i-let go gaya ng pagkain ng unhealthy foods, tamang pag-exercise at tamang proper sleep hour. Sabi nga na sa Bible, our body is the temple of Christ. Kung gaano nating pinapangalagaan ng boyfriend or girlfriend or crush mo, ay mas higit dapat na alagaan natin ang ating katawan. Okay? Now, the impact of culture on body image and self-esteem. Okay, so yan, meron tayong quotation. Okay, so cultural perception of beauty. Di ba? Makikita nyo sa picture, we have a different from beauty from the Westerners and the Easterners people. So cultural perception of beauty, cultural traditions that can either be a positive or a negative influence on a body image and on a self-esteem. Ideal standards of body sizes are culturally specific. Well, we are living in a diverse world that everyone has its own uniqueness, and various cultures has a different ideals. We promote different various images and we try to look at certain characteristics, and we think that the presence of these characteristics is characterized as a beautiful. A culture may promote a certain ideal standard of body sizes, and this may be culturally specific. For example, some culture pay attention to shape of nose, shape of the lips, color of the skin, color of the hair, amount of the body mass in the body, amount of the body fat, and the length of the feet, where it differs to the other culture. But the bottom line is this: through our cultural traditions may have influenced us the negative impact that it paint to us the inaccurate definition of culture. For example, among Chinese, that having a small feet is one of the standard of beauty, including Philippines having a complexion of white is one of the standards of beauty, and having a perfect heart shape of lips or having a kissable lips is also a standard of beauty. So some culture that having a perfect body figure or have a big boobs is their standards of beauty too. So these standards of beauty may be dangerous to our health, especially if we talking about the body weight. Okay? May mga ilan na magpapa-retoke. So, yan, American and Koreans have emphasized illness, Filipinos emphasizing dieting and physical appearance. Okay? So, always remember that people experience body dysfunction due to cultural standards. So, Filipinos especially having a fair skin, but in general in the Westerners, having a tan skin is more desirable. So, we vividly seen that what is beautiful for them is not labeled as beautiful for us because we have a different standard of beauty. Okay, so some people are having dissatisfaction to their body. That is why some people trying their best to achieve those desirable physical body that fits to the standards of their culture. Because if we achieve this goal, it makes us happy. Okay? So next, body dysmorphic disorder. Imagine ugliness. A preoccupation with some imagined defect in appearance by someone who actually looks reasonably normal naman siya. Okay, so just a reminder, only the psychologists and mental health and psychiatrists can diagnose. This video is not made for self-diagnosis. Okay? So having a BDD, okay, in his perception, he thinks that he can do something about his imagined ugliness, and that imagined ugliness may not be objective but rather a subjective. Okay, it may confront to these previous experiences. Baka nabully siya dahil pangit, madami siyang nababasa or nakikita sa FB na ito ang qualities ng mga pangit, and tumutuba sa kanya. Okay, that is why we need to guide people in defining what is beautiful is. among people who has an imagined effect, okay, may do something with their perceived effects. Okay? And sometimes their strategy is not so healthy. For example, there is one case that the person who has an acne, at yung acne niya made him ugly. Okay? So he uses nail cutter to remove those pimples. At anong nangyari? Nagkaroon ngayon ng infection. What I'm trying to say that people who has a body dysmorphic disorder may resort to some strategy that is really harmful for their health and makes them worse, okay, because of their misguided actions. Okay, so we want people to be satisfied on how they look. Okay, be proud because beauty is universal naman. Kaya kung may kakilala kayong may body dysmorphic disorder, encourage them so that they feel confident on themselves. So today's embedded ideals, the physical, andyan they are unrealistic images of beauty, genetically impossible for many of us to emulate. The same thing applies to the six-pack or rib-abs shoved in the face of a man by a famous sportsmen and male fitness models, which for many is impossible to achieve without illegal steroids, right? And the media is a more powerful tool that reinforces cultural beliefs and values. While it may not be fully responsible for determining the standards for physical attractiveness, it makes escaping the barrage of images and attitudes almost impossible. And we have the prejudice sizes. Intolerance of body diversity has a lot to do with the prejudice of size and shape in our culture. Diba? Those closest to us, a family and a friends. We learn from other people, particularly those closest to us, about the things that are considered important. And how can we build a strong and positive image? Okay, ayan naman ang sagot. Thank you for watching and have a great day.